So I'm going to get right into the settings. There's going to be a lot of settings here, but there are going to be a few things or adjustments. If you just follow it kind of step by step, maybe you have to go back and see how I did a few things, but we're going to start heading to the direction of trying to normalize our demo. And there's a lot here, and you could take all the time in the world to go through and see what the WordPress settings are and then the theme settings are. But this will just take some time kind of going through and seeing what their options are. But let's start with the WordPress ones. So as far as general, the first thing that we'll want to do is we don't want the site title and tagline to be this any longer. So we know that we're NY Legal Help now. And the URL technically, because it's hosted on WP Engine as a subdomain, this is typically what it'll default to. It's important to change this. And this is one thing that can get a little bit tricky, hopefully not. But we should be inputting our actual URL here. And before we do anything else, let's take a look at what happens when we do that. Hopefully it doesn't break the entire website. It'll log us out. We're kind of restarting the whole thing again. So from here, I have my login info. So we know it's this. And this password is so complicated, I would never be able to memorize it in a million years. I'm just going to give it a second. And it doesn't take that long to log in, but let's take a moment for that. Okay, so we're good. I'm just very impatient. So we logged in, that happened successfully. Going back to general, just checking out a couple things. So instead of saying Ryan Klein site, which is stupid, you know, it now says NY Legal Help now. Of course, we're going to change that with keywords later. We're going to change a lot of things. Obviously, we're not going to have this. Obviously, we're not going to have nothing but legal jargon placeholders. This is very interesting because you can't even select that. We're going to go through and kind of step by step switch out, you know, the content. A lot of these things, you know, some of these things we don't like. So for now, you know, it's my personal email. Writing, you'll typically won't see anything here that you need to adjust. Reading, of course, that's where we changed our property home and blog 2 columns. These are some things that adjust to the blog, nothing too important, but permalinks is immensely important. So right now, you know, plain, this is pretty generic, like, you know, the page, and it says, it assigns it a number, definitely not what we want. Really the main one that we want is a posting, because that's when we're officially going to have URL structure that makes sense. That's when we're going to have about us that says about us instead of a number. That's when we're going to go to practice areas, and we have, well, actually that's not supposed to go there, but practice areas, and it does go to practice areas. So that one was very, very important that we did that. And then from there, there's, you know, a million different settings that we can really be doing. Maybe it's good to take a look at these particular options and see what we're working with. So this is when you switch out your logo. You're going to see it there. You know, frankly, if this is the part of it where you've gotten this far and you need like someone to hop in for like an hour or two, do a couple things, it's really not that in the world, but I'd really encourage anyone to try to do it themselves as well, though. You can put your number, because a lot of these things are just customizable, and they just take a little bit of time going through. You can even adjust your styles, global styles, just text color in general, main menu, sticky menu. Of course, there's going to be how things look on mobile versus desktop. So of course we did this before, and we want to make sure that the website's starting to look pretty good on mobile. So, you know, you can already tell that it does look for the most part pretty good on mobile, but even at the top, the sky's cut off. So we're not even happy about that to start. So we're gonna have to adjust that. But there's some things that maybe the blog we want to do first. So remember we're talking about the blog column. Maybe that's opportunity to do it here instead. So it's showing you it, and then we actually want it to be 2 columns. We'll save changes there. A single post, which just has an image you can use there. Just really like background images. social icons still appear once you enter it if you're going to do that, but that's a far ways from here. Footer's pretty good for doing your definitely your copyright, but definitely links to your disclaimer, privacy policy, terms and conditions. Not worrying about WooCommerce whatsoever if you don't have a shop. And then import export. This is pretty interesting because this is when you can kind of download your data and then export it. So whatever your state your website's at, and you're gonna duplicate it or do it on another domain, you do it around here. So I know it's pretty overwhelming, but take some time to kind of click through, see what every single thing is, look at your documentation, and then after this, I think I'm going to clean up some of these pages because I want to pretty much start figuring out what my structure is going to be for this website, and I don't really need all this placeholder content. So I don't need all these blogs that have a bunch of bogus content right now. It's nice that it's there, but eventually it's just going to get in the way since these are all published. I don't necessarily need all these dedicated pages at the moment. So we'll explore that as we move along.